On the headline, Buhari mourns former Japanese Prime Minister. Former Angolan president dies at 79. Russian forces unlikely to leave southern Ukraine. And on sports, ex-Arsenal midfielder announces retirement. Now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday extended the condolences of the Nigerian government to the family of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and to the government and people of Japan in the wake of his gruesome assassination. Abe, 67, died after being shot during a speech in Nara, Japan on Friday. In a statement signed today by his special advisor, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, Buhari said Abe will be remembered for his unwavering commitment to strengthening trade and investment between Africa and Japan through various initiatives and partnerships using the instrumentality of Tokyo International Conference on African Development. He assured Abe's family of the prayers and thoughts of all Nigerians during this difficult time. The president also affirms that under Abe, Nigeria and Japan enjoyed a strategic partnership, supporting each other's shared aspirations on economic cooperation, healthcare, human resource development, disaster risk reduction, peace and security. It therefore prayed that the memory of the Japanese statesman and respected international leader will be a blessing to his nation and people whom he served so devotedly. Meanwhile, Nigeria's president has summoned an emergency Security Council meeting with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, some cabinet members, and all security and service chiefs in attendance. Other attending the meeting include the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, that is SGF Boss Mustafa, Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Gambari. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, was also represented at the meeting. It was expected to deliberate on nation's security challenges occasioned by the recent attacks on Medium Security Custodial Center, Kuje, by suspected terrorists, where high-profile Boko Haram inmates escaped. Meanwhile, the Islamic State in West Africa province, that is ISWAP, on Thursday claimed responsibility for the attack, and it was reported that the president had on Wednesday visited the custodial center, where he expressed disappointment with the nation's intelligence system. And in the Federal Capital Territory, the minister, Mohammed Bello, has explained why the administration is enforcing the policy on parks operation in the nation's capital. The minister gave this clarification when newsmen visited his office on Thursday in Abuja. Bello noted that his administration decided to revert to the policy in order to ensure the attainment of 40% threshold of green areas in the city. The minister, who explained that the abuse on green areas, had affected the ecosystem, added that governments realized sometimes in the mid-2000s that it was simply impossible to maintain all the green areas, given the concession of green areas to private operators to develop as parks. The minister stated that almost 95% of those who took parks under concession converted them into structures, thereby abusing them and the environment. According to Bello, Abuja is a city where most people are workers, and creating parks in the neighborhoods is to enable families within each neighborhood have a place to relax. The minister also revealed that the administration was getting positive feedbacks from residents, adding that they were appreciative of the enforcement of the policy. Away from that story, the federal government of Nigeria has today declared wanted 33 of the inmates who escaped from its Kuje Medium Security Correctional Center in Abuja on Tuesday night. The 33 inmates were said to have cases relating to terrorism and been members of the Boko Haram sect. According to reports, the terrorists had on Tuesday night launched a daring attack on the facility, bombing their way in and freeing 879 inmates. Among the inmates declared wanted were at least 64 persons who have terror-related charges on their necks. Ahead of the 2022 Eid al-Kabir celebrations, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, that is NCDC, has urged Nigerians to prevent the onset of a full-fledged fifth COVID-19 wave by adhering to recommended public health safety measures. The NCDC to this in its COVID-19 public health advisory issued on Friday amidst the rising cases. Organizations in general to take necessary precautions ahead of the celebration. The center noted that the genomic surveillance confirms Omicron and its sub-lineages remain the dominant circulating variant of concern associated with the spread of the disease in the country. Adding that in addition to the COVID-19 situation in Nigeria and globally, the upcoming Eid al-Kabir Fest celebration against a backdrop of suboptimal COVID-19 vaccination uptake and increasing COVID-19 case numbers calls for increased individual and collective responsibility. You're watching World Now at 4 on Hills TV. When the news returns, news from other parts of Africa. Do stay with us. Ebola. This suspicion, Asolohe said the samples were taken to Senegal for further tests and the World Health Organization representative in Ghana. The two patients from the southern Ashanti region, both diseased and unrelated, showed symptoms including diarrhea, fever, nausea, and vomiting. They had been taken to a hospital in the Ashanti region, and if the case is confirmed, this would be the first cases recorded in the country and the second in West Africa, as Guinea confirmed one case last year. The WHO has deployed a team of experts to the area to support Ghanaian health workers and prepare for a possible outbreak. Meanwhile, Marburg is transmitted to people from fruit bats and spread between humans through bodily fluids. Former Angolan President José Eduardo dos Santos, who ruled Africa's second largest oil producer for nearly 4 decades, has died aged 79. This was disclosed by the Angolan presidency today via their official social media handle. He died in the Barcelona clinic where he was hospitalized in June, more than 5 years after he left power in May 2017. His daughter Isabel, dubbed the Princess and tapped in 2016 to head the national oil company, is now being hounded by judges and faces a slew of corruption investigations. According to reports, his son, Filomeno, has also been in prison since 2019, also for corruption. When José Eduardo dos Santos came to power in 1979, Angola had been in the throes of civil war for 4 years following its independence from Portugal. This is World Now at 4. When the news returns, we move to other parts of the world. Stay with us. Welcome back. French President Emmanuel Macron is set to visit Algeria. This was disclosed in a message made public by the Algerian presidency, as Macron expressed happiness to visit Algeria so as to launch together new bilateral agenda built on trust and in mutual respect for sovereignties. He added that he hoped to work on it now to put his ambition on solid foundations and set it on shared agenda. It's him as British Prime Minister after dozens of his ministers quit his scandal-hit government. Following his resignation, British Secretary Liz Truss called for calmness and unity. on Thursday after Johnston quit as Conservative Party leader following a series of scandal and an exodus of cabinet ministers. In a speech, Johnston said his resignation was clearly now the will of the parliamentary party. London, Andrei Kelin has revealed that Russia is unlikely to withdraw from a swath of land across Ukraine's southern coast and will defeat Ukrainian forces in the whole of eastern Donbas region. In response to when the conflict might end, Kelin said it was difficult to see Russian and Russian-backed files. Since February 24 invasion, Russian forces have taken control of a big chunk of territory across Ukraine's southern flank above Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014. Russia is slowly pushing Ukrainian forces out of state. Russia said Ukraine has repeatedly killed civilians in attacks on territory held by Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine's Donbas since 2014. Fighting over the front line in that region caused thousands of casualties on both sides long before Russia's invasion this year. According to Kelin, sooner or later, Ukraine would have to decide if to strike a peace deal with Russia or continue to slip down his heels to ruin. We now move to business news after this break. Though some of them oppose the enforcement of penalties for gas flaring as contained in the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. Speaking during a session at the 2022 Nigeria Oil and Gas Conference in Abuja, an expert in the sector answered, stressing the International Oil Company as well as others have developed programs to manage the situation. Also speaking, Victor Ude stated that aside from boosting gas production in Nigeria, the Decade of Gas declaration by government in 2020 was also aimed at reducing gas flaring. Away from that story, we have that plane creators have warned that there is a risk the plane maker may be forced to axe its 737 MAX 10 jet over potential regulatory issues. Reports show that the company faces a deadline at the end of this year to secure approval for the passenger jets from U.S. authorities. Chief Executive Dave Calhoun said the push to get the green light was a little bit of an all or nothing. The MAX 10 is the latest and largest plane in the 737 family, which has been scrutinized after 2 fatal crashes. In an interview with aviation reporters, Calhoun said he still expected a favorable outcome as Boeing plans to press its case with the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration and the U.S. Congress. The spokesperson added that the company was committed to meeting regulators' requirements and those of customers to certify and deliver the 737-10. Safety remains the driving factor in this effort. Earlier this year, the FAA warned Boeing that it may not receive certification
Good evening and welcome to Sport News and World Now at 4. I am Aidan Lubem. Nigeria Super Falcons returned to winning ways at the ongoing 2022. They got an FC from midfield to break the deadlock for the Falcons, finding the far corner with a low drive for her 4th goal for Nigeria. The African champions then sealed victory after substitute Christy Uchebe added a second in the 48th minute. And still talking about other sporting actions, Sport viewing centers operators say they are passing through hard times since the 2021-2022 football season in Europe ended, adding that they had to rely on other sources to survive. Over the years, viewing centers have become thriving businesses, especially in middle and low-class areas where youths usually can't afford subscription. Manchester derby could go for as much as 150 naira or more.